Living in Kansas, it's the place to be. We're positive. This is Kansas Live on 580 WIBW. Be part of the show. Call in. In Topeka, call 272-9429. Anywhere in Kansas, call 800-272-9429. Now, here are your hosts, Roger and Jamie.
580 WIBW Kansas Live. Jamie and Roger back here with you. And today we have Jim Griggs with us from Selective Focus Photography. We're so excited to have you here today. And in fact, you brought this beautiful picture of Castle Rock. This is Castle Rock in, where exactly is it at again?
It's south of Quinter on I-70.
Yeah.
Just off of
I was
I-70.
thinking this was near Manhattan, which means that I have no idea I don't know what I'm doing.
But it's a gorgeous picture.
It's a good thing I know how to get great people on the show to help me out with stuff like this. I know that you've been all over the place. You've been, abroad. You've done all of these pictures. Tell us what is so important with a picture. What is worth taking a picture of?
Oh, the subject helps, but the light is the most important thing to me. You can make almost anything look good if the light is correct. And as a photographer, we are usually up early in the morning and shoot late into the evening. And in fact, now with digital, a lot of the stuff we're doing is at night. We're doing a lot of night stuff because we go to ISO 60,000, In the old days, ISO 400 was pushing the envelope. And so we're shooting now. I've actually got a camera that goes to 125,000 ISO. You can shoot stars, it's really amazing. So,
oh, geez. Well, Roger's going crazy over that because that's technology stuff that I have no idea what you're talking about. But
well, I did a little astrophotography, and I remember when they came out with some 1600 film.
Oh yeah,
and wow, and he's talking like 125,000. The higher the number, the more light it gets very quickly. And
yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. But you've done so much work and done so many different things. How did you get into going abroad and taking pictures and deciding you wanted to do that? That's kind of that explorer mentality.
So, well, I've been in all 50 states and I was running out of places to go. And that's not exactly true, but I have a good close friend who's a professional photographer, Boyd Norton from Colorado, lives in the mountains. He came to Kansas. I took him out to the tall grass prairie. We walked around out there for a day, hiking trails, and he said, "Do you like this?" And I said, "Okay, I know you're from Colorado. It's the plains, and you probably are bored." He said, "No, I love it too. It just looks like Serengeti." And I said, "You're kidding."
That's a good point.
I said, "Wow, I could go there." So a year and a half later, we were in Serengeti. And
so you have a friend that gives you this little spark of interest and you think, well, maybe I'll go and do that. And what do? You get out there and you just start taking pictures.
Well, I fell in love.
Take as many pictures.
Yeah, I fell in love with Tanzania. The first year we were shooting film. My backpack with camera gear weighed 27 pounds. My wife had a backpack with no camera gear, but it weighed 24 pounds. It was all film. So we shot a lot of film. The second time I went back, I was just into digital. I think I shot 9,000 shots. And I guess the last trip, just to scale it, shot 14,000 in 2 weeks. So.
Oh, that's just absolutely incredible. So you've been everywhere. You've also been to the Galapagos Islands.
That's correct. Yep.
Incredible. Also, you've been to Peru. You just got, done doing some stuff there, or didn't you just say that?
Yeah, we were in Peru last year, and I'm going again. We have a trip scheduled for August and September.
Well, look at you guys, jet setters. I love that. That's pretty exciting. But you go and you do this because this is fun, and then you get to show people all of this work.
Well, a lot of it has to do with conservation. The places we go, it's hard to get somebody excited about saving something if they don't know anything about it. So we take people with us, and they see it and they get excited about saying, "Wow, this is really cool." No wonder you're so concerned about the conservation side of it.
And you also do things with FAME Africa.
Yeah, FAME is a Foundation for African Medicine Education. It's a doctor that we met in Karatu, Tanzania, several years ago, and we took a bunch of medical supplies to him, and then he comes to the U.S. once a year and is here for about a month and does fundraisers, and I stuck my neck out and said, "How about Kansas?" And he came, and they stayed at our house, and we did fundraising talks, and then they came back 2 years later, and we did the same thing again. So, and we've become good friends. I've been to their place flying we were flying last year back from Klein's camp in Serengeti, flying back to Arusha, and happened to look through the clouds, and I saw the FAME hospital that they've built with donations. And I took this great aerial shot of it, and it ended up on their calendar for. They're all
that's
excited
fantastic.
about it. Yeah.
So and I think this is maybe a bigger lesson too, is what does photography do for people? It portrays a message, but how are you able to portray that message so well with just a snapshot?
Well, it's really more than a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of technology that goes into photography, and my background is engineering, so.
So you're thinking about a lot more than just the picture.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge disconnect between the camera and your brain, and you've got to know how your eye perceives things. Eye brain is entirely different from the camera lens. The camera and the lens see things in an entirely different way. You've got to understand how that is. I mean, we go through stages. We talk about photography. I teach a lot of classes, and the basic. Everybody wants to make it look the way it looks. Well, you can't. You've got a lens. It's got one f-stop. You've got a shutter speed. That's one shutter speed. You can't make it look the way it looks. Give up. So now you start saying, well, when I look at the image, I want to remember how it smelled. I mean, you want it to evoke the same feelings that you had when you were there. So that's what I shoot for, is I try to get it to look the way I want it to look, as opposed to the way it really looks. I mean, that may not be real. You know?
Do you think that your vision of beauty has changed too as you take pictures? When you look at things that are appealing to you, do you think it changes sometimes as you've gone through the years?
What's interesting is a lot of the people that get into photography, they stop looking and start seeing. There's a big difference.
Okay.
I mean, you look at stuff and you don't really see it. I mean, you can look out the window here and then turn around and what was there? You don't remember. But if you're a photographer, you look at it and go, look at that. That's nice. Look at this. Nice angle here. I like the way the light's shining on that. And you see things differently. Mm-hmm. And you start wanting to convey that. And the only way to convey it is to understand the technology and how it's capturing what's there.
Well, what I love about your pictures, and you've given me some of your websites where you can see all of your photos that you've taken in the Serengeti. Sounds so fantastic, doesn't it? But when you see the pictures, I feel like I was just there, or I'm there right that second looking at them. And that's exactly what you're trying to do when you take the pictures.
Absolutely. I want to take you there, whether it's actually there or visually. Mm-hmm. And it'd be better if you went.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it would. But I think that entices people. The world can seem so unknown to a lot of people. If they hear about the Serengeti, they'll be like, well, what is that? What kind of a town is that? What kind of people are there? And before, they didn't really know that. But now if they can see pictures, it's not so much of a stretch to get a plane ticket and fly out there.
Yeah. And we go to Tanzania because it's probably the most stable of all the African countries. It's probably the most visually stunning, and there's a lot of wildlife. The real issue for the first timers to go there is they're so focused on the wildlife that they miss the scenery and the people. Mm. And so we're constantly reminding them, but forget the lion or something. Take the photo. Take this photo of this landscape. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful place. I was up on a hillside photographing a group of trees in the fog, Larai Forest and Ngorongoro Crater, early morning, and I saw it. I grabbed my camera and lens. I set up. I'm bracing myself on the guardrail at the lodge, and everybody that walked by in our group looked at me and said, "What do you see?" I said, "Well, look." And they said, "Is it an elephant?" "No, look." They were trying to put something in there that's not there. I said, "No, look. It's just a gorgeous scene."
Yeah.
And nobody else shot it.
Well, I think too, it just makes you stop and be where your feet are. That saying where they say just stop and enjoy what you have at that very moment. And Sometimes people are expecting so much more out of life. And so photography, it's like you've become a little philosopher pretty much at the same time.
Well, that wasn't intentional. But
Well, we're going to chat some more with Jim Griggs. He's here to chat about some of the amazing photography that he's done of the plains and also abroad. He's from Selective Focus Photography. We'll chat more in just a minute here on 580 WIBW, Kansas Live. 580 WIBW, Kansas Live. Jamie and Roger here. We're speaking with Jim Griggs, and you were talking about taking pictures on the Serengeti. And what were you saying? You said to your friend, that basically this looks like Kansas, but with some zebras.
Yeah, the horses have stripes. We were photographing these zebras out in a place called Gall Copies, which is hard to explain, but it looked just like Kansas. And the lady next to me was from Colorado, professional photographer, good lady. And I shot a vertical with a lot of sky and clouds in it. And she looked at the back of my camera on that little LCD and she said, "Oh, wow, that's cool. How did you know to do that?" I just looked at her and said, "You don't live in Kansas, do you?"
This is what you deal with all the time.
Sure. It's all about the sky here. And you have some foreground elements, but the sky makes the shot in Kansas 90% of the time.
I've always wanted to ask somebody who does photography more than I have a point and shoot. Occasionally take it to a family occasion, but I'm not a real photographer. But I've always wanted to ask somebody who deals with it on a regular basis. Photoshop, a useful tool or the devil's toy?
It's absolutely needed for me.
Okay.
Basically because Photoshop, this is going to be difficult to explain, but technically I shoot what's called RAW files.
Okay.
Every camera shoots RAW. It's just that only some cameras allow you to save it as a RAW file.
Alrighty.
So when you go in your little point and shoot and you set white balance, ISO or exposure, and you're setting if you want intense colors or black, you set things you want to do.
Yeah, little things move around.
And then when it saves it, it takes the raw image, raw data, runs it through all those settings and saves it as a JPEG. Okay. So what I do is I shoot RAW. I bring the RAW into Photoshop, and then I use Photoshop to make those adjustments.
Okay.
So that if you think I've got, I'm shooting I banned Bill Gates from my home many years ago. I'm shooting with all Macintosh, all Macs and
right.
Apple equipment. So when I shoot and I got this RAW file, I'll bring it into my computer. Now my computer on my desk is a lot more powerful than the computer that's in your little camera.
Yes.
So I've got a lot more choices. I can adjust exposure. I can change white balance. I can do all kinds of changes to it that I want to do. And again, it's not a matter of is it real or is it Photoshop?
Right.
I don't go in and move things around. I don't go, whack something out. I have occasionally taken a bird out in the sky that looked like a dot, but for that, most of the time I don't, it's just about making it look the way I remembered it.
Okay.
But probably from the beginning, it needs to be a good shot or a good shot in its own.
Absolutely.
In the beginning.
Standalone, it's got to work.
Because you can't sit and just make it up.
If you're going to sit there and do that, you might as well do painting or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, this is pretty cool. Okay, you also do the Great Plains nature photography. Tell us a little bit about this and how people can get involved with this.
Well, many years ago, I guess it was in 1998, we started a group called the Great Plains Nature Photographers, and we brought in a speaker from Kodak. And we sent out hoping to get 75 people. We sent letters to all kinds of camera clubs all over Kansas and into Missouri and Oklahoma and Nebraska. And we were hoping to get 75 people to show up there in Lindsborg. And we ended up with 300 showing up. And we said, wow, this is great. So after the first meeting, we decided we'd go for broke. And we called Canon and said, can we get a speaker? And they said, how many people are you going to have? So a couple hundred. And they said, oh, yeah, no problem. So we got George Lepp for our second meeting, and George is a big name in this nature photography world. So that was a big boon. And then Larry quit, the guy that started, Larry Rosenketter, and he moved to Oregon. And somehow I didn't get my hand down in time, and I got stuck. I've been leading it ever since.
But people want to be a part of something, and so they kind of have a focus, maybe, for lack of a better word, I guess.
Well, it works well.
It works well with photography.
Yeah. It sort of draws everybody together once a year. We meet once a year. Been recently meeting in Wichita, and we bring in these big name photographers, and they do a lot of training and teaching, and that it's been very, very positive for us. We ended up with 125 to 150 show up. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, which is not real convenient for some people, and it's also football season, so we lose some K-State and KU people who want to watch football. So that's okay. But we end up with 150 people and we get great support. Costs, for the public to come in, for people to join and be part of it. The meetings are about $10 to $12. And dirt cheap, and you get to see all kinds of people. We had Art Wolf. I don't know if you know, Art Wolf is like the name in nature photography.
Somebody out there knows who Art Wolf is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
and we had 400 people.
Yeah.
We went to WSU and used their auditorium and had 400 people attend that. That was huge.
Well, I think if you want to become better at whatever you do, the best thing to do is to be around other people that do something similar to you.
Absolutely.
So you just become naturally better when you're absorbing some of the information around you. And this is a great way to get involved and get started.
Yep. And we do these trips all over the place. And then we're doing workshops. Great Plains is kind of branched out. We've got little feelers going everywhere. But I'm doing a lot of stuff with Maxwell Wildlife Refuge. You ever heard of that?
No.
Oh, man. So it's kind of like the hidden gem in Kansas. It's 15 miles from my house. It's administered by the state parks and wildlife and parks, and it's 2,200 acres. They've got 250 head of buffalo and about 75 elk. And they have,
elk, beautiful.
Yeah, they have tours out there, and I've been going out there for 18 years or 19. I've been here 20, and photographing it and donating stuff to them. They use my photos for their postcards, and so now we've got this. We train them what photographers want. So we do these outings. We go out and do early morning, and in the past they didn't want to go out before 10 in the morning. I said photographers want to be out there at sunrise. So we just got through doing 2 back-to-back. We call it freeze your buns off.
Good call.
Yeah, we leave at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, and one of them was 7 degrees. It was really cold, but they like photographers because we don't complain.
Yeah,
we just go out there
because
and
you want that shot. You are looking for that beauty wherever it is.
Right. The sunrise with the elk on the ridge. I mean, what's really cool is I posted that on Facebook on the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And I got so many people, where is that? Where is that? Kansas.
Yeah.
No, they don't, sure. It's where you find it.
Yeah. No kidding.
So it's kind of fun to go around and show people Kansas, and they look at it and say, where is this? Yeah. What's in Kansas? Well, I've been to Kansas. There's nothing there. Well, get off of I-70, all right? Please.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. That is really the point, too.
Find an exit and take it.
Yeah.
And go see what's really here.
That's very true. Where can people find more of your pictures? I don't know that you have all of your stuff do you have it public, all of your pictures that you do?
No. I've got...
Because I don't know the ones that you sent me, so I didn't know for sure about that. But you have Select Focus?
Selective-focus.com is the website. And there's a lot on there. But I'm just building that up. I mean, nobody wants to look at 97,000 photos that I've got in my database. So yeah.
And then you also have at gpnp.org. Oh, that's the Great Plains.
Great Plains Nature Photographers.org. That's kind of an older website. It's been there for a long time. We've used it just to communicate, and we put up our PDF file so people can download and register for the meetings that way. There's no real photography on there. There's a listing of who all we've had for speakers and a little history about the group, but nothing on there that's exciting. We really have a Facebook page now. We use that for communicating and setting up trips. So if somebody wants to go on an outing, we say, join us on Facebook.
Yeah.
And is GPNP there, or?
It's Great Plains Nature Photographers Group on Facebook. It's not an open group. It's closed. So you have to ask permission, because we get people that want to come in there and they want to sell socks or shoes or something.
We don't need more socks. We don't.
No.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us all of these wonderful pictures. I know you didn't really get to see them at home because this is a radio program, but you can find out all of this information. We'll have it on our Facebook page as well, so you can see these beautiful shots that you've done. And hopefully we can have you back again to chat some more.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jim, for chatting with us. We'll be back again in just a moment here on 580 WIBW Kansas Live.